everyone, this is Laura from OMG Creations, and today's Threading with Laura is creating a little pillow for your pins. So this is a pin cushion pillow, and we're gonna make this today. And the fun thing about this is that you can make it in so many funky colors. You can use any like pattern fabric that you have and just make it in all sorts of colors. So let's get started. So for today's project, we are going to use felt fabric, a piece of cotton fabric, and you can use any colors, any patterns, anything fun, scissors, a ruler, tape measure, you got your invisible ink or some chalk to mark your lines with, a needle, thread for your needle, and also optional would be embroidery floss and a button, and also you can't forget your stuffing. So let's get started. So the way we're going to do this is we want to layer the fabric wrong side facing you. See, the right side is facing down, because we're going to make all our marks in the back, because that's what we're going to sew. So we want to make this into a square, and it's going to be 5 inches by 5 inches. So let's just start marking that. So I have my 5-inch right there, and I'm just going to make a straight line. 5-inch there. And you can use a ruler for this or tape measure, whatever is easy for you. Inch, and then 5-inch. And we want to make this a 1/2-inch seam allowance because that's what we're going to sew. So what you want to do is with your tape measure or your ruler, you're going to measure 1/2 inch. And then I'm just going to make a little line there and just kind of go in a straight line like that. And I'm going to do that to all sides. And because here my numbers are 1/2 inch, that's what I'm going to use. And then it's just going to be another 1/2 inch there. Half inch. And then 1/2 inch. Okay, so these lines are so we can sew. We're gonna sew on this line, and it's kind of helpful because we're gonna sew a straight line. So sometimes guidelines are very good to have. That way you know you're sewing in a straight line. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna keep it the wrong side facing you. You want to put the piece of your felt underneath. And we're going to pin this so it doesn't move around. Just a few pins. With your fabric scissors, we're just gonna cut the square out. And this is what the finished piece looks like. And for the felt, you really don't have to worry about which side is the wrong side or which one is the right side, because, I mean, there's no wrong or right side, so it doesn't really matter how you pin it. And now with this, we want to sew it along this small box here, but we're going to leave about 2 inches open because we have to turn this inside out. So you can either mark it with your pins or just mark it with a little pen. And what I'm going to do is just put 2 pins right here so I know where I'm going to start and where I'm going to end. And then I'm just going to pin it all the way down. Okay, so we have it all pinned in place, and we are going to start sewing. So let's go to the sewing machine. Okay, so we're going to start sewing from this end here and just go all the way around, and then we're going to stop right there. So we want to put our needle in through there. And we're going to use just a simple straight stitch for this. We're going to go 4 and then a few back stitches. And we're going to go for it again. And then once you reach that corner where those two sides meet, we are going to move our needle down. We're going to put the presser foot up and then pivot. And then we're going to put it back down and we're just going to continue sewing till we reach the corner right here. And honestly, having these lines definitely help make that stitch straight. Okay. Bring it down, put your foot up, turn it over. And sometimes you don't get close to the lines you should. That's okay, just move the foot back up, put it down, and just sew maybe like an inch or two, well not an inch, but like a stitch or two, and then move it down. Okay, and I think that should be fine. And we'll just continue sewing on that line. And remember to take your pins out. And as you reach that corner, you kind of want to slow it down a little bit so you don't miss it. And then we just take those out. Continue, maybe sew a few stitches there. Back stitch, and then forward. Okay, and we just take this out of the machine. And then we're going to clip our ends. Okay, and for the corners, you kind of want to snip them off in a diagonal shape. Of course, you want to get near, but not enough to cut that thread out. And you want to do this with all the corners, just to give it a little bit more of a crisp corner. And you'll see it right now when we turn this inside out. And then with all this extra fabric, you just want to snip it off a little bit. And I just do this with the 3 sides that we stitched together. With the side that's open, we're going to leave it like that. It'll make it easier for us to close it if we have that much fabric. And I just want to get close enough to cut it, but not where I'm cutting the thread. And then we're just going to flip this inside out. And it could be a little challenging. And you just want to bring your corners out as much as you can, gently enough not to poke through the fabric. Gently enough not to poke through the fabric. Okay, there you are. And see, we left that excess fabric. That way we can close this better. Okay, and we're just gonna stuff it as much as you'd like.
Base.
Okay, and we're just gonna stuff it however you'd like. So now we have our pincushion all stuffed, and we just need to seal it up. And what we're going to use is just needle and thread, and we're going to do something called an invisible stitch. So let's get on to that. So what you want to do for the invisible stitch is you want to stitch the fabric that's on the inside, but not pull the needle through the whole fabric, if that makes any sense. And what we're gonna do is we're going to just stitch this, but like I said, just stitch it through the first layer, because we did fold it over, so you have 2 layers of fabric, and you don't want it to go through, just enough that it's going through the first layer. Okay, so we do that. We're gonna run it through here. And it does take a little practice. I'm still not very good at this, but practice makes perfect, right? Okay, then we continue on to this side. And then we're going to do the red side. Yep, I just poked myself right there. Okay, and then onto this side. And you don't want to pull it too tight, but just tight enough. Didn't I say I'm not very good at this? Okay, that kind of closes it off. And then I'm just gonna go back to my last stitch that I made, kind of loop it, and then loop it off, and then I'm just going to cut this off, and I'm just going to open these 2 up, and then just make a little knot just to secure it. And then we're gonna cut the excess off. Okay, and then the last and final step would be to add a piece of string around it, and then put a button on it to embellish the little pillow. Okay, so I just cut a piece of embroidery floss, and what you want to do is just have the sides even like that, because we're going to use this middle part here, and bring it forward. We're going to turn this over and kind of like form into a cross or a T shape, and then we just want to keep that centered there, and you can pull it a little tight and then turn it over. I'm going to put this first one underneath the line there, and then the second one underneath. Okay, and depending on how tight you want it, you can pull it tight or just leave it a little loose, and I'm just going to tie a little knot. Okay, and you can adjust it to how you want it, and I'm just going to add a button. So I just pulled my 2 strings through the buttonhole, and then I'm just going to tie it off with a knot, and I'm gonna do 2 knots just to keep it secure. Okay, and then we're just gonna cut it off. There you go. You just made your own little pin cushion that you can keep by your side when you're sewing, so you can keep everything nice and organized so your pins aren't flying everywhere. And then that's all there is to it, guys. Hope you like my tutorial. Thumbs up if you like it. And thank you for watching OMG Creation, where stuff happens. See you next time, guys. Bye.